to enhance or perhaps reset our metabolism. It's wonderful to have Kate Say from BeFit Food joining me, as always, to help us understand what's going on, because there's a lot to this. What is metabolism to start?
To put it simply, the sum of all the chemical reactions in the body. Some of those chemical reactions are anabolic, which means they're building up, so they're building tissues. Some are catabolic, which is burning off. So when people think of burning off, they often think of calories and they think of food digestion.
Working out, pumping iron, etc.
But metabolism is so much more than that. So if we think of actually digesting a hamburger, for example, we've got the carbohydrates in the bun. We break the carbohydrates down to glucose, and then we can either store them in the muscles or the liver as glycogen, or they get converted to fat. Then we've got protein and fat from the hamburger itself. So either the protein's broken down into amino acids, and we can use that for the muscles in the body or all of the organs to repair them, and then the fat can be broken down into fatty acids and glycerol, used for energy, or once again stored. So that's digestion, that's not metabolism. So when it comes to metabolism, it's all of those reactions going on in the body, and even at a cellular level, what's going on in the energy house of the body, which is called the mitochondria, this powerhouse inside our cells. And this is where things are going really bad with overweight, obesity, metabolic conditions. The mitochondria are not working as well as they used to.
Okay, so why are metabolic rates different for everyone, and how do people manage them? I suppose there's no silver bullet to all of this, obviously.
We've learned over decades, and particularly as dietitians too, that all of these things change our metabolism, our gender, our age, our physical activity levels, our genetics. However, studies are actually coming out now that are saying, well, maybe that's not quite right. Maybe our metabolism is actually quite stable between the ages of 20 and 60. And we thought it was declining. However, that's environmental. That is because of us having more life stresses, doing less exercise, thinking we're more hungry, eating more processed food. And most of the food that we eat, unfortunately, is processed carbohydrate, which is predominantly stored as body fat, and that is impacting our metabolism. So it may not be that all these other factors are so critical in metabolism. It's actually our environment that's causing these metabolic disorders.
Interesting. I'm starting to reflect on my environment and, of course, my recent activity, trying to ride my bike into work, etc. So how can we boost our metabolism? I suppose that's what the outcome that we're looking for is, right?
Absolutely. So to boost metabolism, the number one thing is really diet. The reason for this is if we can actually get our body to start breaking down or being catabolic, so burning the energy that's in there, then we can actually start to clear out some of the toxins and some of the things that are perhaps slowing it down. Whereas on the other hand of that, we can actually use exercise in that process to help burn things off. So between reducing a total calorie intake, reducing our carbohydrates, particularly the processed foods, increasing physical activity, and it's actually a combination. So the endurance type exercise or the walking every day, that 150 minutes a week that the government recommends is really good. However, we still need strength-based training. So 2 to 3 times a week of doing something resistance based will build up that lean body mass, and any HIIT training, so that really high intensity interval training, actually builds up more mitochondria and gets that powerhouse of the cell working well again.
Just when I thought riding my bike was enough, I need to add weights and some resistance stuff to my...
Well, time yourself between power poles. So go flat out between a power pole, give yourself 2 power poles that you go slow between, then go flat out, and that's your HIIT workout for the day, 10 minutes.
See, I always eat healthier and stuff when you come in and join me on Ticker. It's great. So can we break our metabolism? And if so, how do we then reset it? This is something I've seen referred to as sort of a restart that you can do. Take us through.
So what we're seeing now is around 30% of adults are obese, right? Of that 30%, around 80% of obese people actually have metabolic dysfunction where the metabolism doesn't work properly because of insulin resistance. So fat building up in the body, too much energy in the body, inflammation. However, what they've also found is 40% of people that don't don't have a BMI over 30, so actually have a more normal BMI, actually still have metabolic dysfunction.
Right.
So it means that we're not actually getting away with the things we're getting away with, because people say, well, I'm not overweight, so my metabolism must be fine. Well, we still need to actually think about our environment, what we're doing in the way of movement and exercise, and actually what we're eating as well.
It's funny how people can talk themselves through certain things. I know I've done it in the past. Oh, I don't eat that badly, or I don't drink that much, etc. But then you and I sit down and have a chat, and I like to reflect on it all later. But Kate, as always, thank you for joining us on the program.
My pleasure.